The wind howled across the plains like a mourning woman. Snow danced in the moonlight, settling over the small cabin that stood alone at the edge of the valley. Inside, a dim fire crackled, fighting to stay alive against the cold. A woman sat near it. Her name was Martha, a poor widow whose hands told the story of every hard winter she'd survived. She had buried her husband 5 years ago, and since then, life had been nothing but work, prayer, and silence. But there was one thing that kept her heart from turning cold: a boy named Eli. Eli wasn't her own. She'd found him one night near the river after a storm. No older than 3, wrapped in a soaked blanket with a locket around his neck. No one in the nearby towns knew where he came from. She took him in, fed him, and raised him like her own blood. The boy grew kind, strong, and gentle, a reflection of Martha's faith and love. Every morning before dawn, they worked side by side, chopping wood, tending the chickens, praying before breakfast. To anyone who looked, they seemed like any mother and son in the valley. But deep down, Martha always knew there was a mystery she couldn't explain: who Eli truly was. Then one night, everything changed. The snow was falling thicker than ever. Martha was mending Eli's shirt near the fire when a heavy knock thundered at the door. She froze. No one ever came this far out during a storm. Eli looked up, eyes wide. Who could that be?" he whispered. Martha hesitated, gripping the old rifle that leaned against the wall. "Stay by the fire, son," she said, her voice firm but calm. She opened the door, and the storm rushed in, carrying with it a man. A tall stranger, wrapped in a long, dark coat dusted with snow. His beard was stiff with frost, and his eyes sharp, weary, and filled with something she couldn't read. He held his hat in both hands, his breath fogging in the cold air. "I mean no harm," he said in a low, gravelly voice. "Just need a place to warm up." Martha stepped aside, cautious. "You'll find no gold here, sir. Just a fire and a roof." He nodded once and stepped inside, glancing at the small cabin, the worn furniture, the rough quilts, the smell of stew on the hearth. Then his eyes found Eli. The boy stared back, a mix of curiosity and caution in his gaze. The man froze. His eyes softened like he'd seen a ghost. "How old is he?" he asked suddenly. Martha's brow furrowed. 10. Why? The man swallowed hard. His hand trembled slightly as he reached into his coat and pulled out a small, weathered photograph, a picture of a woman holding a baby near a ranch gate. "Because," he said, voice cracking, "I lost a boy that age. In a flood. He was 3 then. We searched for weeks. Never found him." Eli's small voice broke the silence. "Sir, what was your boy's name?" The man's eyes met his. "Elijah." Martha felt her heart stop. The name, the one she'd chosen from the locket he'd been found with, wasn't hers to give. It had always been his. The fire flickered, casting long shadows on the walls as the man took a step closer. He knelt down, his voice trembling. "That locket he wears, does it have the letter H carved inside?" Martha couldn't speak. Her fingers shook as she reached for the boy's neck and opened the locket. Inside, faint but clear, the letter H etched in silver. The man's breath caught. His eyes filled with tears. "It's him," he whispered. "He's my son." Eli looked from the man to Martha, confusion clouding his face. What's he mean?" Martha's throat tightened. She looked at the man, the pain in her heart sharp as a knife. "He's had a mother all these years," she said softly. "Me." The man and a wealthy rancher from the south, known across the frontier, and stepped back, his face torn between joy and guilt. "I thought I'd lost him forever," he murmured. "I prayed for a miracle. I didn't know. Someone else had been the miracle all along." The room fell silent except for the crackle of the fire. Snow drifted in through the open door, melting on the floorboards. Martha felt the years of loneliness, the nights of prayer, the sacrifices, and all rise like a tide inside her. She looked at the man squarely. "You may have lost a son once," she said, her voice steady, "but don't think you can just walk in and take him from the only home he's known. Blood don't raise a child, love does." The cowboy lowered his head. "You're right, ma'am, but love is what brought me here, too." He reached into his coat, pulling out a worn leather pouch heavy with coins. He placed it on the table. "This isn't payment. It's thanks for keeping my boy alive when the world didn't." Martha stared at it, but didn't touch it. "Keep your gold," she said quietly. "All I ever wanted was for him to have a good life." Eli stepped forward, eyes full of tears. Do I have to go with him, Ma? The fire's light trembled across Martha's face as she knelt to his level. You don't have to do anything, son. You just need to listen to your heart. The cowboy turned away, staring out the window at the endless white. His voice broke softly. If his heart's here with you, then maybe mine needs to learn how to share. Outside, the storm began to ease. The wind slowed and the first stars appeared beyond the clouds. Inside, 3 souls stood in the glow of the fire, bound by loss, by love, and by something stronger than either fate. And as the fire burned low, Martha whispered a prayer under her breath, not for herself, but for the boy who would soon have to choose between 2 worlds. Because sometimes the hardest love is the one that lets go.